don't wear a watch. I always know what time it is.
Oh, I got put. What's the first topic? People. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Final Whistle here on the Bama Standard Network, where you can get all your Alabama content. Listen, I'm with my group of brothers, the Avengers. As you can see, the one who's down in sunny Texas, the one and only, Mr. Around the Table Sports himself, Mr. UFC, Mr. Keeper of Gandalf. I think I got it right. The one and only, Ty Hayes. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. You were very close. It's Keeper of Blaze, because if he gets out,
Blade. Okay, sorry.
If he gets out, I'm doing. Listen, they need to send me a medal. That's a national security issue, and I'm taking care of it every day. And I do it because I'm a selfless individual. It's the Keeper of Blaze and the disappointment
of Gandalf. Okay, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, our lead recruiting analyst is in attendance again. We had to put an APB out for his brother Chris. I did see some CBS receipts scattered somewhere in Georgia, so he's probably somewhere. Hopefully they can find him. But his big brother, the one and only, Dan James, how are you, sir?
Hey, you know the answer to that is always good, man, on a Tuesday night. You know, right here with my Crimson Avengers.
I like that. Roll Tide. Ladies and gentlemen, my main man, the guy who he's our Debo, he's our Thor. He does it all. He's got a lot of insights, a lot of analysis, great observations. The one, the only, Mr. Luscion Graves. How are you, sir?
What's going on, fellas? It's Tuesday night. This is probably going to be one of my favorite shows. We got a lot of stuff I love to talk about, and we're going to go in deep. And as always, we're going to throw some punches in at certain SEC coaches that spend a little too much time at massage parlors, and also those coaches that don't know how to teach their players how to obey the speeding rules and whatnot. But as always, roll daggum tide. I'm ready to go, y'all.
Yeah, roll daggum tide. And listen, this is what we do here on the Final Whistle. We got to shout out the Crimson Tide. Get in the chat. Join us from Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Come and tune in, get in the chat. Let us know some of the questions or comments you want to bring up. We have a question and answer section of the show later in the show, so please be sure to do that. We got a lot of exciting topics to talk about. The SEC, Alabama, recruiting. We got a slew of things. But first, let's talk about our title sponsor, Real Limestone Inc., realrockstone.com. If you want to get your yard with some great limestone, rock, different types of stones, have it decorated to have the best yard in the neighborhood, go to realrockstone.com. That's realrockstone.com and get your yard stone needs. So, guys, let's get into our fierce topic. And let's talk about top defensive players in college football for 2025. I'm interested to hear you guys' take. Lou, do you want to go first on this?
No, I'd like Ty to go first.
Ty.
I'm interested to see what Ty's got.
Since Chris is not here, how many are we going to actually do? Are we going to...
We can keep it to 5.
5?
Yeah. If you can give 5, yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Keep it to 5. All right.
No reason to go over.
No reason to go over. I'm quite sure there's going to be a couple players with Alabama ties. I'm interested to hear what you guys got your takes. So
I'll give you my top 5 right now. Number 1, I'm sorry, Alabama fans. I'm so sorry for this. Caleb Downs. I mean, I'd be saying this if he was with Alabama. I hate to do this. It doesn't change that he's with Ohio State. Caleb Downs is a game changer. I mean, he truly is a game-changing player, not only from his physical ability, but his football IQ. I actually went back this weekend, guys, and I watched that Texas-Ohio State game. When Texas is down at the goal line, the play, Caleb Downs didn't make the tackle. Y'all know the one I'm talking about, the one right before where the strip sack or the whatever it was, right? I don't really remember that because I didn't focus much on that. I focused on the play before. I actually stopped watching the game, the play before. And it's where they ran the ball and Caleb Downs sniffed it out. I mean, he was right there, stopped, made the running back bounce more. Negative game. Football IQ through the roof, film junkie, all the attributes you could want. I don't have to say much more. Number 2, give me Peter Woods. Another guy that Alabama, listen, 2 right now with Alabama ties. One of them was at Alabama. The other one should have been at Alabama. If a defensive coordinator at the time would have just picked up the darn phone, he probably would be at Alabama right now, but he's at Clemson, and he's going to make himself a ton of money in the NFL, so I'm not mad at it. Peter Woods, we already know. Dan, you know. Lou, you know. That interior defensive line, it's a position of premium where those guys are sought after. He's one of those guys. I'm a big Peter Woods fan, so I'm going to have him number 2. Number 3, I'm going to be real biased here, guys. I think if you've listened to me, you probably aren't going to be surprised. He's a guy that hasn't appeared on any top cornerback lists. Why? I don't know. At 6'1", 200 pounds, runs a sub-10 300-meter dash, and just played his first full season of football last year. Damani Jackson has a just unreal upside. And I think right now people are kind of starting to catch on. In fact, I have seen multiple people on Twitter today be like, I actually sat down and watched Damani Jackson's film from this year. Why is he not getting talked about more? I completely agree. So there's 3 from me. Let's see. Who else could we go? Clemson has an edge that I really like. Is it TJ Parker?
TJ Parker?
Yeah. TJ Parker. Really like him. And for number 5, should I be biased towards Alabama or what do I do here? For number 5, you know what? I'm going to give North Texas some love. Anthony Hill out there at Texas. I love that kid. I think he's such a fantastic football player. Really an interesting prospect, right? I don't think he's as athletic as Jahad Campbell in terms of Jahad is a freak, like an unbelievable athlete. Where I do think that their games are similar in terms of fun to watch is their versatility. Like, you can do a lot of different things with Anthony Hill. If you want to rush him, you can, though I think he's better stand-up. But it's that versatility, and I got to be biased and give a Denton kid some love here. Got to watch him play in high school. My wife teaches in the district, so I'm going to be biased and give you Anthony Hill. Now, though I think, guys, you could name me a defender who probably is higher in terms of draft acumen or better than Anthony Hill, I will say that pick number 5 for me is a biased one.
Okay.
So tied with this 5, I think everybody's going to probably have Downs on their list. But I'm interested to see Luscion, your top 5.
So I went a little bit differently in my choices. I went a little bit more based off of who I actually think is going to perform as the top player, defensive player in college football. So that's why the order is how it is. Now, first off, personally, I got TJ Parker as the best defensive player in the country. Now, a lot of that is due to that kid just an absolute freaking monster. Another kid that I wish would have came to Bama. He had 57 total tackles last year with 34 solo, 11 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. That
School
right
record.
there, the kid is an absolute playmaking machine. Not to mention Clemson, and we're going to get into this later in the show. Clemson has one of the top number of returning people that contributed on their defense, which also is going to allow TJ Parker to play the kind of flow. And as also we've mentioned, the freaking nature of Peter Woods as well on that defensive line too. Number 2, I got Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. The kid had 113 tackles last year, is an absolute stud. I'm looking forward to see what him and that other kid from Texas have. They also have a top 10 returning corner, according to Pro Football Focus. So it's going to be interesting to see what Texas has. I got Caleb Downs 3rd, just because I don't think Ohio State as a defense returns a lot of talent. I know they return some guys, but these other guys on the list return a little bit more talent around them. And I think that is what's going to put Downs a little bit further on my list. And yeah. And my 4th one, I got Colin Simmons, the edge out of Texas. That kid is an absolute game breaker. He had 9 sacks as a freaking true freshman and 3 forced fumbles and an interception. Like, the kid's just filling out the stat sheets. And like I said, he was a freshman. And 5th, I actually only got my list in my research to 4 just because I really couldn't statistically say that there's another one. But as an asterisk, I'm going to put an Alabama player up there. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but there's going to be an Alabama player that's going to rank in the top in the country. And I think it's either going to be it's going to be a defensive back. I'm not sure if it's going to be a corner. I'm not sure if it's going to be a safety, but it's going to be one of the two. Leave no doubt.
That's a great list. See a lot of Anthony Hill, Caleb Downs, TJ Parker, Peter Woods. Everybody's going kind of with the same thing. Let's go to our lead recruit analyst, Dan James. Let's kind of hear your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. I got 3 of them that were already talked about. Anthony Hill, TJ Parker. 11 sacks and 6 forced fumbles. It's a lot of great players that played for Clemson. A lot of great defensive linemen. But for him to have a school record 6 forced fumbles, that's ridiculous. That's, him and Peter Wood, they're going to be a problem, for teams, especially in the ACC. I expect them to walk through the ACC. Of course, Caleb Downs. 2 more I'm talking about that haven't been listed yet. One, you think about the premium position that he plays, and that is Dylan Stewart at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Good one.
Really high upside guy. He's going to be a top 5 pick when it's all said and done. And another one is a guy that I love his versatility. You can, he can play in the middle, play over the edge, and that's Suntarine Perkins out of Ole Miss. So those are my top 5.
Another one with the Alabama was really high on in Perkins. Love it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'll close us out on this. If anybody I was going to add was Dylan Stewart. I like Downs. Obviously, Anthony Hill's a stud. Peter Wood, the TJ Parker, his stats just speak volumes. But you know me, I just got too much Bama on me. I want to have my list had Damani Jackson, Bray Hubbard, a lot of Bama guys. But it's about college football. I don't want to have my Alabama bias. But guys, before we move from
Bray is a top 10 safety though, according to Pro Football Focus.
With ease.
I think he was top 5.
I think, exactly.
They keep having him. What they do on the article, they'll show Caleb Downs' picture, but Bray Hubbard is pretty high on the list, and Saab is pretty high as well, which is crazy. So, guys, go Ty.
So all I want to say with him, with Saab, he's a fun player in that he gambles, right? And there are going to be times, Dan, what was the game where he bit on the double because
that was Western Kentucky. Wasn't it Western Kentucky?
Was it? I thought it was a bit
Where
later
he
in
got
the
the
season.
pick.
No,
One where he got the pick.
No. Western
it's where he
Kentucky,
got toasted.
He got
Yeah.
toasted. But
Oh,
because
Georgia.
of the type of player he is.
That was a Georgia game. It was
I don't
Dylan
know.
Bell.
No, it wasn't Georgia. It was
Yeah,
we were away.
He bid on the double move by Dylan Bell in the Georgia game.
Yeah, but
I
that's
remember
not that wasn't the one. Like he bid on it, but the one Ty's talking about, he got made to look a fool. I want to say, was it Vanderbilt?
Was it UCF?
I think it was Vanderbilt. I know we were in white uniforms.
It doesn't matter. He's the type of player that right there, one, that's just the type of player he is. He's going to gamble. He sees turnovers. He wants them. But two, that's inexperience. Like when you look at this secondary for Alabama, whether it's Bray Hubbard, whether it's Zabian Brown, whether it's Damani, whether it's Saab, you don't have a ton of thorough experience. You now have guys with a year under their belt, and you take that. But that, as an Alabama fan, has to make you so excited where you're like, these guys are young, learning. Sky is the limit for this secondary, and I love it.
Listen, I'm going to keep it on this topic, and I'm going to kind of throw it a little bit. Just give me two players. Since we're talking about defensive players in college football, we're talking about the top. Give me your two most underrated defensive players in college football, if you don't mind me asking. Underrated. Nobody's talking about. Dan, you want to go first?
Bray Hubbard. Yeah, Bray Hubbard. You know, he's definitely one. You know, not talked about enough on the national circuit. Let me give you another one. If we're going with two. Oh man, it's too easy. Oh man,
Ty,
not talking there.
I think Bray Hubbard has got to be one of them. When you see what he did, I think the reason you don't talk about him a lot, or you don't hear people talking about him a lot, inexperience, and even with that, he doesn't even have a full season under his belt. But for those that tuned in, I mean, you were in for a treat every time you got to watch him play football. Absolutely think that he is one of them. Now, the second is interesting because there are a few names that I think you could go here. It's just what, you know, I could keep it straight a buck and go Bama and go LT Overton after that.
Bama. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think LT Overton is another one. We talked about TJ Parker, and deservedly so. LT Overton, if he just converts half of those hurries to sacks where he was so close, I mean, he was top 3 or something in quarterback pressures. If he just converts half of them, we're talking about double-digit sacks. So LT Overton is another guy, and remember, he played a new position last year. He had to change his body last year. He had to learn a new defense last year. This isn't new to him anymore. He's acclimated now. So I think that you could make a principled argument, and if somebody wants to call me biased, I would say you're probably right. I'll give you that as long as you concede to me that those are two interesting picks. I think you could do it.
Dan, did you ever come up with your second, or?
Yeah, I give you another one. A guy I really like, you know, and he's going into, I think, his 4th season at the University of Florida. I'm gonna say Tyreek Sapp. You know, he's a high upside guy, good motor. He's going to be part of a very, very good Florida defensive line this year.
I like
good
that.
One.
Lou, round us out on this one, sir. Lou, we got on the same shirt.
I believe you do.
Almost. I got the hoodie on.
Oh, okay.
I got the hoodie on.
Okay.
Now, you said the question was most underrated. I kind of disagree with everything you guys said, because if Pro Football Focus has every single player that y'all just talked about, in the top 10 in every respected position. They're being talked about nationally. So I can't really say those people are being slept on. Somebody that's being slept on.
I'll give you that. That's fair.
Ain't being talked about is a name that's not out there. So I'm going to throw the hometown name out there because I think this dude's going to have an animal breakout season, and that's James Smith. No one's talking about James Smith, and I mean no one. He ain't on no list. I ain't heard an announcer. You search his name, ain't nothing pop up. He also isn't on social media, and I love that about that kid. And he's mean, and I think the way he has gone about his training in the offseason, the way he's taking care of his body, he is the next one up. Because everybody's going to be worried about LT on the one side. Everybody already knows what Timmy does on the inside. But they ain't going to be ready for what number 23 about to do to him. And my second player, this is a tough one. But I'm definitely going to go with Damani Jackson. Like, Ty, that's your guy. I mean, like you said, like, and I looked at this statistically, it does not make sense why people are not talking about him. It is disrespectful why they're not talking about him. He's got better numbers and faced higher caliber receivers than a lot of these guys that got graded higher than him. So I'm not really seeing the national disrespect. I love it because the kid, the young man done grew his hair out, got a beard about himself, and I feel like he gonna take off and take that as disrespect and turn it into a first-round performance this season. So give me Damani Jackson and James Smith as the two most slept over people on Alabama defense.
Those are good, great list. That's why I give it to you.
Let's do something. I want to talk about a guy, whose stock has seemed to have fallen since his freshman year. Has there ever been a guy whose stock has fallen as much as Harold Perkins at LSU? He was a surefire top 3 pick after his freshman year, and I don't know. That's what you call developing backwards.
Well, and to be fair, Dan, I don't fault him. Brian Kelly has no idea what to do with him. They have no clue what to do with him. They see what he's best at, and they're like, nah. I don't know.
Nah.
But you're right. He could fall into the second round. A team – I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen here, okay? He's going to fall. The Eagles or the Ravens are going to be looking at everybody in the draft going, the hell are y'all smoking? I'm going to pick him up in the second, and then we're all going to be coming on here a few days after the draft being like, well, the Eagles and Ravens have done it again.
I was about to say the Eagles for sure. Howard Roseman. You're on mute, Lou.
They're gonna have Jihad and Harold Perkins in back-to-back years, and I'm gonna be like, well, shoot. Eagles D's gonna be stupid.
Crazy.
It already is.
Crazy.
Damn.
Well, I'm quite sure, speaking of the Eagles and Ravens, they're looking at this Alabama secondary for the Alabama players for the next couple years and like, yeah, we're going to spend a lot of time in T-Town because it is a talented group of guys in that Alabama defense. So, guys, anything y'all want to add to this or any closing remarks, or you think that kind of rounds it out regarding this topic of the top defensive play in college football for sure? Lou?
I want to add to the point of when you're talking about the top defensive players in college football, you also have to take into consideration the schedule. And that's why I had the players that I had too, because I felt like they had the best matchups. Because the Clemson guys, I mean, let's face it, they're probably going to be the top team in the ACC, and they're not going to have a whole lot of competition as far as O-line wise. So that's why I had who I had, because I feel like in Texas, they got a decently tough schedule, and then Ohio State, we all know they play cupcakes, and that's why, down third. But I think the schedule does play a major part in who ends up being the top player in college football.
I agree. I'm so glad to be talking about football. It's that time of the year where there's no football and it's like, oh my gosh. So let's keep it rolling. So we just got finished having a great topic about top 5 defensive college players in college football. Did the underrated guys. Now let's shift gears now. Let's talk about top 3 defensive lines in the country. This is going to be a good topic. I'm quite sure I can probably name 1 or 2 schools I think y'all have in mind. I think I know where Dan's going to go. I'm interested to get Ty's take on this topic. So I'm going to go in reverse. Dan, I'm going to start with you on this topic on top 3 defensive lines in college football. Because I think I know I got one of your teams already.
Yeah, I hope you do. It's obvious, number one. You know, it's obvious. It's probably the best in college football going into this season. That's Clemson.
Yeah.
You know, 2, and it's because of the talent as well as depth. I'm going to go with Alabama. And 3, it was a toss up. So I had 2 teams, but I'm only going to name 1, and I'm gonna give it to Florida. You know, like the aforementioned Tyreek Sapp guy, like
That's
Caleb Banks. You know, Florida's gonna be pretty good this year in the trenches.
So Dan went Clemson, Bama, Florida. Let's hear. Lou, you want Ty to go first, or you want to end it?
Yeah, I'll end it.
All right, let's go, Ty.
Clemson number 1. I mean, I don't have to say anything on that. Their defensive line is ridiculous. It's so good. Yeah. I everything in me wants to put Alabama in this because I love the talent there. I have to see it.
Gotta see it.
Right? I have to see it. Now, granted, I think they did much better as the season went on. I think they're going to be an improved unit. So I think I can put them there. But it's just it has to come to fruition in order for them to be able to really take that next step. So, yeah, I'm actually with Dan on his list. I'm trying to think of a team that I like some of Penn State's pieces, but do I like the unit in its entirety as much as I like Florida? I can't say I do.
You take away Danny Dennis Sutton.
Yeah, you're right. Like I like 2 of the pieces on Penn State's defensive line pretty much as much as anybody not named Clemson. But then outside of that, I'm like, I don't just know that you have the depth that I think Alabama has, right? Like your 1 and 2 might be able to be as good as everybody not named Clemson, but I don't like your 3, 4, 5 as much as I like Bama's. So yeah, I like Dan's list.
So you're going with Florida, Clemson,
I am, yeah.
Alabama?
Yeah.
I know. I'm glad we saved Lou for last. I love to give his analysis on this topic. Lou, give us your take on the top 3 defensive lines in college football.
Okay. I'm going to start with number 1, and I want to make this very clear to people. There's only 1 orange team on my damn list. That's it. We ain't going this multiple orange team bullshit like everybody else. There's 1 orange team with Lou, and that's too much. So give me Clemson. And it's not just because they got Peter Woods and TJ Parker and some of the other guys. It's what they have around him. They got 2 of their top 3 tackling linebackers back. They have one of the top corners in the nation back. Not to mention they play in the ACC, so offensive competition isn't really at an apex in that division. So obviously, yes, I agree with that one. Give me Clemson. Number 2, however, I disagree. I'm going to go with Penn State because unlike the Alabama room, they had guys that actually sacked the quarterback multiple times. They had guys that actually had stats. So, and not to mention, they play one big game on the road this season. They got Ohio State. Every other team that matters, they have them at home. That is a huge factor. And we all know Penn State already doesn't play big games as it is. But the fact that they only have Ohio State on the road and every other important game they will have at home is a major advantage. And I just hate Florida, so I will never really respect anybody on that team. Plus TiVo, like, come on, guys, like, his story about it. And third, I will say, give me Alabama, and it's because we got Tim Keenan, who is a top 3 returner in the run grade defense. The dude had an 89.9 was what his grade was last year. 42 tackles, 2 sacks, and 18% pass rush winning percentage. Like that's something. And on the same time, you got another top 10 guy in LT Overton, 6'5", 17 solo tackles, 42 total, 2 sacks. He's the guy that I'm looking for this season to actually make the biggest jump as far as making an impact sacking the quarterback. Because if he does what I think he can do, he could probably get in double digits, and it's not even going to be hard for him. And it's the people around. Like, yeah, everybody knows, like, we got LT, Tim, we got James Smith, Jordan Raynaud, all these guys around him. But I think it's going to be the ulterior play of the secondary that's going to make this line just absolutely eat. Because as a defensive lineman, when you have absolutely no worries behind you and you can just pin your ears back and feed the whole game and not have to worry about somebody leaking out, oh, you're going to have to go tackle this guy. They have not had this opportunity to play this free. And I think when a defensive line doesn't have to worry about what's going on around them and they can just play within the scheme, especially the scheme that Kane Womack has drawn up for our guys, Alabama's going to eat. Because here's one thing I do believe. I believe we are one of the top 2 deepest defensive lines in the country, without a doubt.
I couldn't have said it better. That's why we let Lou go at the end and charge it to us, give us that heat, bring in that heat. So, guys, let us know in the comments what are your thoughts on top defensive lines. I know y'all don't have anybody from GTA, the GTA team on there. Lou?
Oh, and an asterisk, too. Alabama is the only team in the country to have put a player in every defensive position in the top Pro Football Focus. I think that is something that a lot of people need to take into consideration.
And
LT, Timmy, they had Deontay Lawson up there. And we had Cameron Calhoun and Bray Hubbard. Like, they had Cameron Calhoun. They didn't even have Damani Jackson on there. And I think that should scare people. Because we got three starting corners right now, and I love it. I love it. Kane Womack's going to have one hell of a fun season, mixing and matching. Coach Mo doing a hell of a job. And we got Mustard.
And we got Chucky coming in. It's going to be nasty.
Mustard.
Listen, this secondary, the twos can come in and be, if not just as good as the starters with this defense. So it's going to be nasty. It's good to see.
The twos are bigger.
Yeah.
How are the twos freshmen and they're all bigger?
Which is
freshmen
crazy.
Sophomores.
Which is crazy. I mean, you look at Zay Mincy, Ivan Taylor, Dejon Lee, Chuck McDonald coming in. Listen, that can be lethal. That's going to be lethal. I'm excited about the
and Cam
season.
Calhoun looks a lot bigger than than I think a lot of people thought.
That's what Lou was talking about.
We were just talking about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's standing in a picture almost eye to eye with Jordan Emmons, who is a measured legit 6'3", not to mention he looked like he packed on some serious LBs. Telling you. And he's a burner. Not like Damani Jackson, but he could still pick him up and put him down pretty damn fast.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's a 10-something 100-meter dash guy too. So having not one, not two, and you add Chuck McDonald in, who was on a 4x1 team in California breaking some records.
Look out.
Here's a question for y'all. Who's the fastest player in the SEC this year?
Ooh.
Because it might be Damani.
Ooh.
What was Branch at Georgia? Is he pretty fast?
He's
Zachariah
fast.
Branch?
Yeah.
I have a question. I know Damani fast, and I know
He won't get the ball at Georgia.
Branch kid's fast, but I want to know how fast our number 17 is.
Brooks.
Because he got clocked at 22 plus in a game last season.
Well, he's also got that freaky thing where within 2 steps or 3 steps, he's at top speed. So not only is he faster than most everybody, but he's quicker. And for a wide receiver, arguably, I'd take a wide receiver that is quicker than a cornerback than outright faster, because that means when he's out of his breaks, like, you're done. You are done for. And don't forget, Ryan Williams ran the same 100-meter dash as Isaiah Bond as a sophomore. And Bond ran it as a junior or senior. So Ryan Williams is fast as can be too.
And I
think this might be one of the fastest teams we had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Jalen Mbakwe beating Ryan Williams in a foot race. So Mbakwe is pretty fast too.
That's insane. Because Ryan Williams ran like a 10.36. So that's insane.
I mean, not to mention guys like Cole Adams. We got some burners.
Another 10-3 guy.
Yeah.
We got a track team on our team.
So. We got 2 track teams.
Literally.
Because Derek Meadows ran hurdles.
Let's go.
110-meter hurdle holder. So, I mean, we got a track team. And you know how I love speed.
I like it. Track stars. So speaking of moving fast, guys, before we move to our next topic, guys, let's shout out our next sponsor, Title Towel at wetwillsports.com. Get you an amazing title towel at wetwillsports.com. As you can see, this is one of the official towels for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Go get you one. Go get one just like Luscion, Dan, most of us have at wetwillsports.com.
Snap them if you got them.
Yeah. Show them if you got them. And go use the promo code STANDARD, STANDARD, and get you the infamous title towel. So, guys, let's move to our next topic. Now, kind of going on to you see the theme tonight has been a lot of defense, whether we're talking top 3 defensive linemen, top 5 defensive players in college football. Let's talk about which team you think will lead the nation in sacks this year. I was going to have a question, but I'll let y'all get through this first.
Are we doing team, and then are we going to do which player we think is going to lead the nation? Can we do that?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, let's do team and do which player you think.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay. Who's going first? I'm ready.
And then I'm going to ask another question after that, just to pique you guys' interest. That's what we do on the final whistle. So which team you think will lead the nation in sacks, and which player you think will lead the nation in sacks? And we're going to keep the same flow like we did last topic. We're going to roll with Dan James to lead us off.
Okay. Easy. I'm gonna say Clemson. That's the easy answer.
Okay.
I expect him to lead the nation in sack. But I'm gonna go with a different guy, individual. Listen, Penn State is gonna have another top, highly drafted front 7 guy, and that's gonna be Danny Dennis Sutton. He's gonna lead the nation in sacks this year.
Let's go, Ty.
Yeah, team Clemson. I don't know. Like they're gonna get it from interior, exterior, linebacker. I mean, they're going for someone like myself Yeah, and in the ACC, right, where I'm really interested in just how that defensive front plays, how the defensive plays as a whole. In terms of player, I'm going to keep it in the SEC, and I'm going to go Dylan Stewart. And to me, it was between Dylan Stewart or Colin Simmons. Now, the only reason I'm going Dylan Stewart is I think that their schedule will allow for him to be more disruptive than Texas's, right? Because when I'm looking at Texas, like, I'm not saying Texas has a gauntlet of a schedule, but they play, right? They started off with Ohio State. They have San Jose after that. They're going to eat. UTEP after that. They're going to eat. Sam Houston after that. They're going to eat. But then they go into Florida. Then Oklahoma. We know OU's usually got some offensive linemen. If they have nothing else, they've got offensive linemen. That's just historically what they do. Kentucky usually has a pretty decent offensive line. Georgia, A&M, Arkansas. Vandy does some weird stuff. But when I'm looking at South Carolina, guys, like, yeah, Bama plays South Carolina, but then you have like a Missouri. I don't know that they're going to struggle there much. SC State, don't think they're going to have much trouble there. They have LSU, right? And LSU this year, I think, is going to be really interesting in that they replace so much of their offensive line. So I think it could be Dylan Stewart, but man, I was close to choosing Colin Simmons.
Yeah. All right. Lou, round us out. Then I got a question for you guys.
Yeah. I will not concede that I think Clemson will lead the nation in sacks because Dabu can eat it. So, this is tough.
Sipping on that haterade.
It's the anti-orangeade.
You're damn right I'm sipping on that haterade. Give me, you know what? I think Penn State will, just because of the fact that there is very, very, they don't really, like I said, they don't really have to play anybody. And they're not going to play anybody that has an overly good offensive line besides Ohio State and Oregon. Other than that, they got cupcakes. And I think they got a couple good, I wouldn't say great, but they got a lot of good linebackers on that team. And I think they'll lead the nation in sacks just because of the fact that their schedule's softer than baby shit. But that's just me. I think who leads the nation in sacks as player personally, give me the kid from Texas, Colin Simmons. I think when you put together everything Texas is bringing back and you add in the fact that he has the top linebacker in the nation who's going to take care of a lot of stuff, not to mention is the sack artist himself, I think that gives him a little bit more of an edge over a Dylan Stewart who lost his running mate and lost a few other key pieces on their defense. Plus, I think Colin Simmons is one of the best athletes as far as bending the edge that I've ever seen because, I mean, the dude just gets it. So that's what I got, Matt.
Great analysis. Lou, I mean, you kind of covered it on my topic. I was going to say, who do you think has the heart? Obviously it's a great defensive line, but because their schedule has so much, competition, who has the, toughest task to lead the nation in sacks? Just because of the competition, maybe they don't have a cupcake schedule like some of these other schools, that was going to be my next question. Or maybe it's a player that's, you mentioned Dylan Stewart. Maybe
I like that question.
Maybe he's going to be getting more double team this year. I mean, the potential is there, but maybe player or team who you think's got the hardest road to lead in sacks, just because they're not as luxury as some schools having a whole cupcake as their schedule. So,
are you talking a player or a team?
Whatever you want to do, player or team.
I'm gonna say for a different reason, Alabama, because I think the best pass rusher on this team is gonna be a true freshman, and I think when I talk about skill set, I think the best pass rusher we have on campus right now, I'm gonna say is Justin Hill. He's a guy I really like, coming off the edge, and I think he may be our best pass rusher. And I expect him to make a big impact on third down.
I like that. Ty? Toughest road to lead the nation in sacks, but they got all the potential.
Whew, that's a good one. I'm going to go with a name instead of a team. A kid that is coming off of 9 sacks, really started doing a lot of good work towards the end of the season. That's R. Mason Thomas with Oklahoma. He, at the end of the year, was really starting to show out. Very consistent. I think that he's got a lot of talent. I think that he is going to be a name, though, that I have some questions about that Oklahoma defensive front. Not from a talent perspective, but I love Jaden Jackson, right? I think that kid's unbelievable on the interior. I think he might be one of the most slept on interior defensive linemen in the SEC. True freshman season last year, was at IMG before that, wrecking ball. Proved to be a great pick. But for all the reasons Lou gave, right? Our team's going to just be like, hey, if you can beat us, we're gonna just go one-on-one on the interior, and we're just gonna make R. Mason Thomas beat us. I think that's what's gonna happen with Oklahoma. I think he's a very talented kid, 9 sacks last year. But that would be my name for a kid that has the potential to be a wrecking ball, but I think it's going to be a tough year. I think he's going to produce, but it's going to be tough for him to lead.
Lou, round us out.
It's a tough one. Okay.
Bishop Sycamore is a good answer.
Right. I was thinking about New Mexico State too, but no. I will say the team that has the toughest road to lead the nation in sacks is probably Georgia. I mean, because everybody has came to the realization in the last couple of years, Alabama and Georgia has had the best defensive lines. That's why we've been able to stay so dominant. One of the reasons we've been able to stay so dominant. And the fact that last year we can all say that both of our defensive lines were not up to par. I think Kirby and his speed racers are on a little bit more of a tough situation and coming to actually lead the nation in sacks because they lost a lot and they haven't been recruiting and maintaining the talent. They lost a major factor in the transfer portal in the spring to, I think, did he end up going to Miami, Dan?
Who was that?
Wilson. Damon Wilson.
That's right. Yeah, I think he ended up at, was it Miami? Yeah.
Was it Miami or somewhere else? Yeah, I mean, that was one of the top returning pass rushers, and he transferred. So I would say Georgia. And I will also agree with actually completely agree with what Dan and James said. I truly believe that once fall camp starts, you're going to see the emergence and the pushing aside of some of these upperclassmen because Kane Womack and Kalen DeBoer will not deny these freshmen talent. And they're going to eat. And I think that Justin Hill is going to I think we're going to see a number 8 savagely freaking wreak havoc on offensive lines.
You think he'll have
athletic kid.
What'd you say, Ty?
Super athletic kid. I mean, we saw that clip of him from the spring ball getting that interception out in the flat where he just dropped
and he was
into
up
the flat
there.
and got the interception.
Yeah.
You think
Which means he can do more than just rush the quarterback, which is going to get him on the field more.
Yeah, which is key. You think he's going to have a Dylan Stewart-esque type of impact this year?
I think it'll be different.
Okay.
I think
he's
Dylan
going to be
Stewart,
used different ways.
Dylan Stewart, I think I'm not taking anything away from Dylan Stewart and the success he had, but he had an absolute monster on the other side of him that quarterbacks
and in the
teams,
interior
and on the interior that both got drafted that were machines, absolute machines. And I'm not saying that South Carolina doesn't return or maintain talent, but they didn't make a biggest splash in the transfer portal as they did last season, getting that defensive end from the ACC. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I think, yeah.
Great question. So before I switch it over to our next topic, I mean, this is what we do. But I think last year we had a few, two freshman All-Americans. With the talent we got coming in this year, how many do you think Alabama can put on a freshman All-American list? I'm going to say at least 4 or 5 easily.
Does freshman All-American, does that include redshirt freshmen?
It could, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, redshirt freshman All-American.
Okay.
My number's 4.
I won't say that high. I say 2 or 3.
I'm going high.
I think 2. And the reason why I think, Matt, talent-wise, they could do it. But I'm also looking at Bama, and in a lot of places, man, like, okay, Dijon Lee, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that he could easily get on that list? Easily. But that secondary, it is unbelievable to me that in 1 year, we went from having Nick Saban being up there on ESPN and even like all those shows being like, yeah, I'm kind of worried about that Alabama secondary. And every Alabama fan was feeling the same way, to now we're looking at that secondary, looking at a Dijon Lee being like, we'll have sets for you, but like there's so much talent here. So that's where it's, I think, 2, because I think that goes across the board, right? I think Brooks is going to be a kid that could end up on that freshman All-American list because he's just different.
I'm sticking with 4. Lou?
I got 5.
5. Ooh. I like that number.
I got 5 because you can't forget the O-line. Like I said, this summer, I pay attention to what these young men are doing in the summer, and what some of these dudes, the work they're putting in with the specialist coaches they have, are going to put them above some of their other teammates that aren't working as hard, and they're younger. So I truly believe that Bama could turn out 5 freshman All-American because, like we saw last year, wasn't nobody expecting Bray Hubbard to come out of nowhere. Somebody goes down. This is Alabama, next man up. Now, I do not wish injuries on anybody, most of all our team, but I'm also a realist. This is the SEC. They're not going to stay healthy all season. And I'm here to say that once any of my 5 that I have in mind, they see that field, you ain't getting them back off because they got talent like that. And honestly, I'm going to throw a 6th one in there. Because if Ty Simpson doesn't do what he needs to do and Key Russ comes in and does what he can do, I hate to tell you, he's a freshman. So there's possibilities, guys, possibilities. And I think there's 6 possibilities, realistically. I can make an argument for 6 different guys.
Boom, mic drop. And we'll leave it at that. Hit that like, subscribe button, you guys. Let's get to our next topic. Sorry. So let's go to Dan real quick and talk recruiting before. No, let's stick with the list. So we talked about defensive lines, Yeah, let's go to Dan, recruiting. Give us a quick one, Dan, on I know official business is about to pop up. We saw Jordan Edmonds working out with some Bama guys on the team in Atlanta. Give us your thoughts with visits heating up, kind of what are you hearing, and what should we be excited about for these next upcoming months as these official visits come in? You're on mute.
I'm sorry. Official visit starts in 2 weeks, the May 30th weekend. This is going to be the first major official visit weekend, and this is the weekend where I expect Alabama to start setting its boards as far as the trenches go. We'll finally start to see a little more movement. We're getting some major targets on the defensive line on campus that weekend. We got guys like Titan Davis, Nolan Wilson, J.J. Finch, Kevin Ford out of Duncanville. So those are 4 of our major targets up front. So getting them on, and I think we actually lead for Titan Davis. I expect, Alabama to be able to seal the deal on that weekend. And another thing, we got on the offensive side of the ball, we got some guys coming in. We have Malachi Lee, we have Chris Booker, who's also already committed, but he's going to be taking another visit. It's an opportunity to get him on campus and kind of reaffirm his status with us. We got Malachi Lee, 6'7", 310-pound offensive lineman out of Honolulu, Hawaii, who I think is our top offensive line target at the moment at the tackle position. We got other tackles coming in. Deacon Schmidt out of a 6'5", 310-pound offensive tackle out of Colorado. And we also have Bryson Cooley, 6'6", 285-pound offensive tackle out of Laurel, Mississippi. And a big target that's going to be on campus. And I think is very important to get them on campus this first weekend, because I think we're kind of losing a little steam with them. And that's one of my favorite, the safety target. We talk about them all the time. Is Jet Washington, 6'4" safety out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas.
R.I.P. Kobe.
I'm sorry?
I said R.I.P. Kobe.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's the nephew of Kobe Bryant. So it's a big weekend. It's not the big weekend that everybody talks about, but it's a very, very big weekend as far as establishing momentum and getting some guys on campus who hasn't been in a while, and being able to really shore up our board. And another name I want to mention that's coming that weekend, Ryan Mobley. He's I expect Alabama to take 2 receivers in this class, but we get 2, and I think it starts with Sid Morgan, of course, our top target at the position. But we have 2 big names on campus that weekend as well, and that is Ryan Mobley, 6'2", 205-pound receiver out of Carrollton in Georgia, and Booby Feaster. We're going to see if he shows up for the trip. He's scheduled to come in, be in that weekend. So, we'll have 2 of our top wide receiver options on campus that weekend.
Now, Dan, I know they put some offers out on some quarterbacks. Iowa State quarterback, I believe his name's Thom Malata or something like that. I think he said he's going to take an official visit. Any news regarding the quarterbacks that they've offered in this 26 class?
Oh yeah, definitely. Jet Kamala, he's an Iowa State commit. He's a guy I encourage everybody to go and watch his film. This guy, 6'5", 195 pounds. He can make every throw. Impressive arm, big arm. And, he's not just a big, tall court. This guy's an athlete. He's a beast on the basketball court.
Yeah.
40-inch vertical. He is dynamic. He's an athlete out of Omaha, Nebraska, of all places. But he's a guy that, we got our eye on. We chipped away, and finally, I think Alabama has really has a great opportunity to be able to seal the deal with him. And another quarterback that was offered in the past week or so, that was Matt Caddell out of Cincinnati, Archbishop Moeller out of Cincinnati. He's a guy that's a big MLB prospect. A lot of people project him to go high in the draft, but I think he's a guy that, given the opportunity, would come in and be open to playing in Tuscaloosa. But I think the big one on the board right now is Jet Tamala.
Ty, anything you want to talk about? SDAN recruiting, Lou?
Xavier Griffin's a name to watch, right? Tide put it in the chat. Cancels the UGA trip. Still got a battle. Ohio State, right? They got a hell of a linebacker recruiter up there. Still got to battle Texas. They recruit very well. But I like Alabama's chances, especially because the kid grew up an Alabama fan, if I'm not mistaken. Currently has that crystal ball pick. So I like Alabama in that race. I'll tell you what, and I don't know if the video is up yet. I've been so busy at work. But there's a kid in the class of 2027 that Nebraska Cornhusker fans, if you found your way to this video, y'all got a good one. One that if Alabama can flip, it's game over, and that's Trey Taylor. Right?
Yes.
Kid is impressive. I don't know if that video is out, but when it is out, take a look. Oh, man. No, I mean, you watch the film on him, and you're like, yeah, this kid's unbelievably talented. But then when you hear him talk, and we asked him a question, it was Smoke, Dan, myself, and Trey on there. We asked him a question about, like, your favorite route to throw. And this kid he names the route, but then he starts going through various routes and being like, I like to throw it this way, but sometimes the wide receiver does this. And so you have to, like, he really starts breaking down the process of throwing these guys open, throwing routes, what defenders are doing. And when he's doing that, Smoke is just up there nodding because Smoke was telling us, hey, this kid's a whiteboard genie, right? Like, what did he say, Dan? In the 7th or 8th grade, they sat him down.
Yeah.
And he was on, like,
definitely in the meeting room, offensive meeting room. Yeah.
And they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that this kid was, one, not in high school, but two, even for a high schooler to be doing that, you'd be blown away. Nebraska got one, man. They got one. Good for them. I'm not praying on y'all's downfall that we flip him, but at the same time, I certainly would be happy. But if you're a Nebraska fan, kid's going to be awesome.
Dan, you mentioned possible crystal balls. Any other Pauls that names we need to keep an eye on for Alabama?
Well, not really until after the official visits start, but yeah, we'll wait till after guys get on campus. But man, of course, like you said, Xavier Griffin. But I think if Alabama can get Tamala on campus, which I do expect him to visit, Alabama, I think takes over the driver's seat there in that recruitment. And also Titan Davis. I expect Alabama to be able to shore it up, after this visit. He's the one I think Alabama is really ready to go ahead and make a move with, and another guy, it could go either way, Nolan Wilson, if we can get him in the fold, but, Mississippi kid. So, I expect that to go, get drug out. him to take other visits. But Alabama has a great opportunity to really seal things up with Titan Davis.
Lou, anything you want to add?
No, I'm just over here coming up with more potential freshman All-American like every 30 seconds. So no. I'm too excited. That's why we got Dan, man. I get all my info from Dan and a couple other people. So if Dan don't know it don't exist.
Yeah, basically. Dan's the plug, as they say. So guys, let's talk about the guys in the trenches real quick. Let's go to Q&A. Sorry. Let's talk about our trench warriors in the question and answer, the comments. So I know we got a few comments up. Let's get to them. Most underrated SEC team going into the season. That's a great question. Dan, you're nodding your hand. Lou, I'm interested to get y'all's take on this.
I'm gonna say two teams. One is obvious. Quarterback play. Both teams, it comes down to quarterback play. One is, of course, Alabama. I think Ty Simpson is going to be the key piece here. But the second team is Florida, man. Florida is Florida can actually be a 10-win team this year. Florida. It depends on Lagway. He hasn't thrown the ball all spring. I don't think. He had surgery, but quarterback play is really going to determine, the season for Florida this year.
Yeah, I definitely got Florida underrated, but I think they made a lot of noise. That Lagway injury, I think it's something that nobody's really talking about. Like you said, Dan, I think it's predicated on him, his performance, quarterback. My other team, I don't know. I wouldn't say Alabama's underrated, but I'm going to get Lou's take before I see if I can get some ideas from him.
Most underrated SEC team going into the season, I would shoot. Give me South Carolina.
Good.
I like South Carolina in this just because of what I started to say. They lost a lot on the defensive side of the football, but at the same time, they have some absolute freaking natures on the offensive side of the football. And a lot of people aren't talking about that. They're obviously giving Dylan Stewart his flowers, but I think that probably South Carolina, like last year, they were probably the most underrated team in the SEC, and look what they did. And I think they keep that same chip on their shoulder and carry that into this season.
I like that for sure.
Who you got, Matt?
I'm gonna go with. I definitely think I like South Carolina. I'm gonna go South Carolina and Florida, and I think it's on the quarterback play. But I got some other guys I think are pretty, really underrated. I just think if they're gonna have some pieces. I think I like what with Mississippi State getting Braun, the quarterback. He went to LSU. Sorry. No. I'm right. I'm scratch that. South Carolina, Florida. Those are my two underrated teams. Sorry, I'm gonna leave it at that. Next question. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Harold Perkins will get used everywhere, but where they need him. He's coaching the team, running track, everything but getting played right. Only LSU fumbled that bag. I agree.
Only
I think LSU fumbled that bag.
No, we're not going to say only LSU. Only Brian Kelly.
Yeah, only Brian Kelly, which is, fumbled that bag. I think at one point, wasn't it like big transfer portal rumors about him possibly jumping in the portal, maybe trying to come to Alabama or something like that?
No, I didn't hear it. I don't
know.
I didn't hear it either. It might have been out there, like, you know, some other things, but I never heard that he was looking at Bama.
Yeah, I heard some things, and I was like, what?
I heard Lane Kiffin was tampering with him.
Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, Perkins, they got Weeks, that other linebacker. They should be better, but it's Brian Kelly, guys, so it'll be interesting.
Hope you're safe, Van. You know, Van said he had tornado sirens going off, so you know, we're wishing safe wishes to Van and his family.
Yeah, all those out there. No storms rumbling through. So let's get to our next one. Okay. Chris Williams is back, and it's not even football season yet. Oh my gosh. And he throwing shade. He said, is that Dan or Elmo?
Be very quiet.
Chris Williams.
Hey, Chris Williams, is that Hugh Freeze or Diddy on trial?
Oh.
Or was Hugh at the Diddy party?
He was at the Diddy party.
That's where he got the baby oil. I get putting 2 and 2 together.
You putting it together?
Old handy Hugh.
Do you think Mike Gundy would start hiding the backup game plan in his mullet this year in case of emergency? Mike Gundy, the head coach of Oklahoma State Cowboys, with the mullet.
He does have an emergency play sheet. He does break out. I have seen him do it. Just a little index card.
Yeah. I'm 40. I'm a man. Famous press conference.
I forgot about that.
That was classic.
I'm a man.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
You want to go after me? Go after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Christian Love says, who do y'all have as your top 4 SEC teams that will make the playoffs? He's got Bama, Texas, UGA, Ole Miss. I'm going to go Bama, Texas, UGA. I don't know. I'm going to put LSU. I might go lean a little bit LSU and possibly Florida, depending on Lagway. For me, Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, Texas, UGA, Bama, Florida.
Lou?
Give me Alabama. Give me Alabama. Give me Texas. Give me Ole Miss. And you know what? I want to put Georgia on there, but I can't.
They're not on my list.
I can't put Georgia on there. I just can't put Georgia on there. So give me no, I can't put LSU. Their defense is trash too. Give me South Carolina.
South Kakalaki.
Yeah, because I can't definitively put Ole Miss or Georgia on there, especially considering what both of those teams lost. So
that's true. Let's go. Your thoughts now on Griffin, Dan?
Oh,
Xavier Griffin.
Let me say, you know that the arrow is doing this directly at Bama. You know, so
good.
Yeah, all things point to Bama right now. They have all the momentum. So,
Dan, if you could elaborate, what do you think? What besides it being Alabama, what do you think led to his decision decommitting from USC?
USC they gave him an ultimatum. You know, they say, look, you shut things down. You know, they tried the Dabo approach. You know, you shut things down and stop taking visits and you stay committed to us or else. And so he took the or else. You know, that's what it was. So, you know, he called him out on it and, you know, okay, well, I'll open things back up because I'm a high school kid and I want to take visits, you know, so that kind of backfired for USC.
Dan?
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
And I think that he saw what Kane Womack and company did with the linebackers, especially Jahad Campbell. I think he saw what Alabama's defense is known for and what USC's defense has been lacking. And I think he saw being developed more so and being in a better situation and a better scheme that fits his actual skill set. Because that young man was bred to play in a defense like at Alabama, not like whatever the hell they run at USC. So let's hope that meter comes along and he comes down to Titletown, which I think he will.
And in this
really
teammate, in this the opposite edge rusher Alabama commit, is it Matthews?
Jamari Matthews.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sweet. Now, Dan, if we get Griffin, do we take a back seat to Tank Jones down in St. Paul's or?
No, different position. I think Tank will eventually develop into a bandit. So,
Okay.
you know, the guy is 6'4", 250 pounds right now. Yeah, he's going to grow into a bandit. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, good. Because I think
definitely bandit.
I was a little nervous about him, but I'm liking what I'm hearing regarding him. So that's why you go to Dan. If Dan says it, it must be true.
We got one more question, then we got to go.
Athletic. I think we covered this earlier regarding Alabama's defense under Kane Womack and Justin Hill and having our 6'3" and up DBs. I mean, I think we spent the first half of the show raving about this amazing secondary, how tall these guys, talking about the speed, the length, the depth, pause that we have in the secondary. And Justice Hills, I think if you play back, you listen and talk about Dan and Lou covered really well how, especially Justice Hill, I mean, elite edge rusher coming off the edge, something that I think we've been missing in the past couple of years. But guys, anything you all want to recap regarding this comment from Todd?
No, definitely. In this scheme, you want long DBs. You know, they create, you know, tighter windows for quarterbacks to throw to. And plus, with us playing a more out, you know, under Saban, we played a lot of press man. Saban liked tall corners too. But this one, you know, you got guys that you want guys that's tall and be able to come up and run support and break on the ball, play off the ball, and be able to break on the ball. See, you know, so you know, you want guys that can be able to win jump ball situations. You know, the 50-50 balls as they call them. So it's a great advantage to have tall corners, especially ones that can move and cover in man.
Tall corners and long safeties.
Mm-hmm.
Our safeties have some of the longest arms in college football. Like the whole entire room is just straight wingspanning it. And I think that's what a lot of people with the height, and they look at the corners and be like, oh, the corners have this, you know, this big advantage because, you know, they're taller. But some of our safeties, they got some pretty long arms. So it's size and speed in the secondary. Size and speed, ladies and gentlemen.
Size and speed. Well, listen, guys, speaking of speed, like Alabama, we're going to bring this one to a close. Thanks for tuning in to the show. Follow the cast. Lou, Dan, let's talk about your show tomorrow, Crimson Dynasty, the other shows. Turn into the Bama Standard Network. Dan, the floor is yours.
Actually, you know, just follow me on X at the Final Whistle Dan. I won't be on the Crimson Dynasty tomorrow. I'm going to be kind of taking a step back on the network, getting more into recruiting. You know, we got recruiting coming up, so I'm going to be focusing my time with these official visits pretty much solely on recruiting. So I'll be doing a lot of short videos. So y'all stay tuned to the network for videos coming out soon.
Lou, how can they follow you?
You can find me on X4Row2 Luch1. Also Facebook and Instagram, Luscion Graves. And on Tuesday nights, you can find me here wrapping it up with the Crimson Avengers on the final whistle, talking about the greatest team, playing the greatest sport in the greatest country on earth, ladies and gentlemen. Roll daggum tide.
Roll daggum time. Hit us up next week. Follow us. Same time, same channel here on the Final Wilson Network. And listen, we end on those 2 words. Roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide. Obey the speed limit, Georgia.